that was kind of my little details. And I'd like to introduce Christa Camp, who will be presenting. She is the K-12 Business Development Lead for Open PTECH, which is a digital learning platform powered by IBM's Corporate Social Responsibility team. Christa started her career as an educator and taught 8th grade U.S. history in Tulsa, Oklahoma, before spending the last several years working with education nonprofits. She holds an education degree from Oklahoma State University and recently finished her master's in business administration at the University of Texas at Dallas. She's now located in Dallas, Texas with her husband, John, and her dog, Boudreaux. So welcome, Christa. I will turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Amy. And it's such a fun experience being with you all this evening. As an educator by trade, I love being with other educators when I can be, so it's always a treat, and think a lot of the work that you do every day. So grateful to be here with you. Because we are a small group, I would love to know who's on the call. So if you can just tell me your name, what you teach, and then when you think about sort of virtual learning, virtual resources, what's most important to you?
I can go first. I'm Kevin Cardell, and I'm actually the superintendent at La Crescent Hoka Public Schools.
I'm Teresa Gers. I am a job developer for Rochester Public Schools, and I'm always looking for new opportunities for students to use technology, maybe do a little entrepreneurship with some skills.
I'm Nicole VanHooser. I teach 6th grade at Lyle. And I'm just looking for resources for me to use and is easy for my students to use as well. I'm actually a 2nd year teacher, so I'm always looking for resources.
My name is Michelle Goodboo, and I'm from Rochester Public Schools, Early Childhood Special Ed.
Great. Well, good to be here with all of you. That will help sort of guide where I show some of our content, which is good. So I'm going to share my screen really quick so that I can walk you through a couple of slides, not many, and then I just want to answer questions and actually show you the resource. Let's see. Perfect. Okay. So as we mentioned, Open PTECH is a free digital learning platform from IBM. And really what our mission is, as Amy mentioned, this is a part of our corporate social responsibility team. So I don't work in the business unit at IBM. And so even though my title says I'm a business development manager, I'm the best kind because I want people to buy a free product, which is nice. It's an easier sell. But really our mission at IBM and our corporate social responsibility work is to ensure that students can meaningfully explore career options, especially students who've been historically underrepresented in STEM. So we developed both a brick and mortar model that does actually exist in Minnesota, but we also have this digital offering that is free and accessible to all students. So as I mentioned, it's obviously a digital learning platform. It's particularly focused on high school students, but it does range from ages 14 to 20. And there are some games that I would say are a really good fit and an interesting offering for younger middle school students as well. But the offering is really meant to help students be exposed to emerging career fields and skills. A lot of the coursework is around cybersecurity, blockchain, data science, AI, and then there's an entire suite of professional skills coursework as well. Some key things that's just helpful to know before we hop into the platform. Students actually get to earn industry recognized digital badges that are theirs to keep forever. Lots of our students use them as resume builders and LinkedIn profile builders. They can actually claim them and then export them to use wherever they want to forever. These are badges that IBMers like myself also earn. They have a lot of market validity. And in fact, they're particularly useful for high school students who want to find their first job as an apprentice or as an intern. So students can earn badges in an array of technical and professional skills that can also lead them to sitting for a certificate in a technical skill as well. And then because it's a platform built for teachers and students, we do have a way to make teacher accounts connected to student accounts so that teachers can actually assign and deploy some of the coursework to students. And students can do all of it asynchronously without teacher intervention. This is particularly powerful for schools who are continuing to work out sort of a hybrid model for students who have not yet returned to school in person. You can do a lesson in class and then deploy all students to finish something virtually on their laptop or even on their cell phone. There's teacher resources embedded. I think, being a former teacher myself, one of the things that I always found frustrating about virtual resources was, okay, I'm gonna have to go figure out what this resource is and then build a lesson plan for it. And I wouldn't necessarily have standards for it. So it's sort of starting from scratch when that can sometimes be difficult and unmotivating, frankly. In the platform, we've built several teacher resources that are actually lesson plans where you can pull the lesson plan for the actual course you're going to deploy the students so they can create a comprehensive experience for both you and for your students. And then lastly, for any school districts and schools who want to utilize Open PTECH in their classroom or district, we provide hands-on training for that. We can meet your teachers and train anyone. We can help your students get online. And then, of course, we have a team who's focused on ongoing development and support as you stand up the platform. This is just a quick look at all of the badges that we currently offer. There's more than 75 hours of coursework, more than 20 badges, and then more than 200 curated channels of content, and then 200 and growing teacher-facing resources. This is sort of a laundry list. It's obviously kind of a lot to take in, but it's meant to sort of show you a snapshot in time of what badges are available. No surprise, we're IBM. It is pretty technically focused, lots of AI, cloud, big data, et cetera. But the workplace skills badges are particularly compelling for really any student who is thinking about what they want to do next, thinking about their first job, and really wants to increase their employability and marketability as they think about their post-secondary. And then last thing here before I want to ask some questions. So most common high school use, we see districts or schools use this in 4 main ways. One, preparing students for their first work experience. If you have an apprenticeship or an internship program built into your program, it is typically used for that. Offered as a summer boot camp or as an after school club offering is really common. An extension of learning for CTE or computer science classes, and then overall 10th through 12th grade career and college readiness development, because it's really relevant for the economy they're going to inherit in the 21st century. It's no cost, as I mentioned. There's really no barriers to entry. Anyone could actually go and sign up for it right now. If they went to open.ptech.org, they could sign up. There'd be no issues. We do have some SSO providers that we can use with you in your school, Clever and Google Classroom. But you can do it sort of the easiest way, which is you just register and utilize the platform as you see fit. Or if you actually want to create a teacher account, get students in there and assign them coursework, we can help you build that out. And then in terms of data privacy, that's always going to come up, as it should. We're a global leader in data security, so it's important to us that student data is protected. We follow the most stringent data privacy standards globally, but we, of course, are always willing to execute a DPA if that's needed. And then, of course, as I mentioned, ongoing tailored support is available. Let me stop there. Would love to hear what questions might be coming up at this point. Cool. Okay. I'd say commonly most people don't have questions until we actually get into the platform. So makes sense to me. I'm good with that. Let's go ahead and go in there then. So the platform is a really fancy way to say it's a web page. All you need is the internet to get on the platform. There's no additional hardware or software extensions required. And then once you log in, this is where you land. You'll see, a search bar so you can type in keywords to find certain courses. If you don't know exactly what you're looking for yet, but you just want to poke around, you can always click this course catalog. It'll show you content broken down by technical skills, workplace skills, then of course, teacher resources where you can find lesson plans. When you go back to the main page, you'll see that learning is broken down into 4 big categories. 1, channel subscriptions. This is any content that you have said you're interested in. When you registered your profile, you'll be asked, what are you interested in? You'll be able to click a bunch of boxes. That will sort of set up your channel recommendations. Anything you start or put in your queue will always be able to be found there. You can start and stop as you please. And then this is super important for educators. If you assign students coursework, it's always going to show up in this required learning section. And then of course your completions. And then as you do coursework and assign coursework in the platform, the system is going to start learning from you because our AI, Watson, is inside and monitoring what you're learning so to suggest additional learning for you. So as I mentioned, here's the course catalog here. Under recommendations at the top, if you drop down this arrow, you can find the badge courses. I tend to think that people come on the platform to earn digital badges for the most part. So when you pop this out, you can actually see every badge we offer and the coursework that correlates to it, in addition to how long it'll take students to finish. So here, this is a really great, middle school offering or first student on time the students on a platform offering. This enables students to explore all of the content for emerging tech. That gives them sort of the what is class and how is it used for AI, blockchain, cloud, cyber, data science, and Internet of Things. You'll also notice we offer these courses in a ton of languages. So, of course, you can have students do it through English, but if their home language is something different and we have it in the platform, they can always switch and translate the coursework to a language they're more comfortable with. So here you can always scroll through, as I mentioned, tons of badges. In terms of the grain size, how long they take, I would say it ranges from about 3 hours to 20 hours in terms of completion for students. But lots of fun stuff. Some of it ranges from very conceptual, like this course we built with ISD, that's AI Foundations, to these 2 AI courses that are pretty fun. Kids learn how to build a chatbot and how to interact, how to teach a machine to interact long-term, which is pretty cool. And then of course, multiple technical skills are offered. And then we even have, as I said, technical skill badges. So this badge that IBM built for professional skills helps students learn to present with purpose, collaborate with others, learn how to work with agility and be dynamic and flexible at work, and then how to creatively and critically problem solve. These are incredibly important because they're the soft skills that we hope students are in some ways tacitly learning in school, but being more explicit about what they can actually expect in their first job helps students really thrive and understand that new environment for the first time. And then a great complementary offering to that is our Preparing for Your First Job badge. This is like the nuts and bolts of landing a job. And frankly, many adults also would probably enjoy this resource. It talks about how do you manage your social media brand? How do you build a great resume? How do you ace an interview? All of the content is driven to really help sort of a high school student think about that first experience. And then last thing I'll just point out here is we do have a mindfulness course on the platform, which our platform actually debuted March 2020, right before the world shut down. I don't know if somebody at IBM had a crystal ball and knew we'd be spending the next year in our homes, but one of the inaugural courses was this Explorations into Mindfulness course, which is pretty cool. It just teaches students how to utilize stress management and how to use meditation and mindfulness in their everyday life to be able to handle any mental health issues or anxiety they're experiencing while navigating typical life, but especially navigating the past year. So let me go back to the actual platform since that's a click out page, and let's go into an actual course. So I'm going to look up what is artificial intelligence. The course content is really set up pretty, predictably. Students will read some text, they'll watch some videos, and then they'll interact through answering questions in a fill-in box or answering multiple choice questions. But it is meant to be written and gamified in a way that keeps them engaged and interested as they continue to move along. We don't give students grades. We're very completions based at IBM. You can, of course, always give them a grade, but that's not what the platform will do for you. Instead, it'll ask them a series of questions If they answer 80% of them right, they'll keep moving, they'll keep progressing through the coursework. If they don't answer 80% right, they have unlimited attempts, so they can go back, reread the information, and come through. So this is what a lot of them look like. Here you see some text. The thinking machine is not a new idea. Where did this come from? Here's a really fun video about, can a computer talk like a human? And then we start immediately asking them questions, asking them what they think about what they're learning. And then they also get to practice talking with the chatbot, Mitsuku. So the platform is meant to be really engaging in terms of the content while introducing an emerging technology maybe they're not very familiar with or don't know that they're very familiar with, even though they likely are using an AI machine in their home to some degree. Click back out of here. I just want to show you also the admin features. So as I said, you can have an admin teacher account if you so wish. My account is an admin account. So that means I have this team tab here. And my team is essentially my students. It's meant to be really simplistic so that it can be used globally. But essentially, all of my students I can see here. I can have 2 separate teams. We're working on more dynamic categorization. So if you have more than 2 classes, we can work that out. But here you can see my students' name, their email, their level up status. Once you've earned at least 15 hours, you become a super learner in the site. So this person has spent a lot of time in the platform and earned a badge. But you can see all the work that they've done so far on the platform. You can also download this completion report so that you can use it for whatever purposes you have for assessments. And then if you wanted to specifically look at how students are doing at the materials you've assigned them, you could click here on required learning. Here I've assigned William 2 assignments that he just never did. So if I was going to grade him on this assignment, I'd want to follow up so I can see that he hasn't finished it. And then the team completion report, last tab, enables you to do all kinds of stuff. So you could search for a very specific learning activity for students to do. You could search for a specific badge to monitor their progress. This is just a way for you to have a window into their learning and intervene if they need support or some nudging. The very last thing, and then would love, of course, feel free to chat in a question or come off mute and interrupt me. I'd be happy to have it. But one last thing would love to show you before we answer questions or have a further discussion is our Your Learning Builder. So lots of good content in here, but it can feel kind of like an ocean. So what you can do is find the pieces that you really want your students to use for maybe the semester, maybe the year. And then we allow you to customize it and package it into a learning plan that you can deploy to students for the entire year. So I'm going to show you an example of this. We built these workplace learning extensions for our PTECH campuses. When you click into them, you'll see it's kind of like a unit. This is content that 9th graders have to do at PTECH in 1 year. So overall, this is about 40 hours of content, but it's all built together and builds on each other. So students start with the mindfulness course, they move on to earning the professional skills badge. They learn a little bit about the agile method, a little AI, some design thinking. And then it culminates to some career vignettes where students can sort of see where all of this content could lead them in their career. So for school districts and schools, similarly, you can build learning plans like this on the platform. And in fact, you can actually export your own content into this. So let's say you want students to do the mindfulness course, the professional skills course, and the preparing for your first job course. And then you want to assess them on their understanding of work-based learning. You could then export a quiz into here that they have to take, but it's all a part of this roadmap that you've created for them. So that's the learning plan feature. It's probably the most complicated feature. It takes some time learning how to build them, but our team typically helps teachers and principals set those up, a couple times a week. So we're happy to help in that way for you to utilize the platform and customize it to your specific needs. So I know it's a fire hose of information. Happy to stop here and answer any questions that are coming up or suggestions, recommendations you might have.
Hey, Christa, this is really cool. I'm a cheap teacher. I'm always looking for free resources, so I don't know how I missed this, but this is awesome. Question about, you said it's compatible with Google, like you can use Okay, so you can import stuff into this platform. Can you also, if you're using Google Classroom, can you put links in to help students jump into this?
In terms of like an introductory document or something?
Well, if you're teaching a lesson on something like on the soft skills, and then you want students to get into your lesson in Open PTECH, is it just, can they just put a link into Google Classroom, or how would that work to streamline it?
Yeah, great question. So if you were going to sort of do a lesson and then lead them back to the platform, you would lead them back. So you would register students first where they were just Open PTECH users. And then at the end of the lesson, you'd say, okay, we're going to go on to Open PTECH, and I have sent you a notification. So I'll even show you. Let's say at the end of a lesson, you're going to assign the professional skills badge.
Okay.
That in there, and I'll show you, you can assign them learning, and it's going to notify them in that Google Classroom account. You have an assignment due. You need to go into Open PTECH and do it.
Okay.
So you can always do it that way. And then in the learning plan, you can export and import different content as you see fit. So let me move this chat box. Okay, great. So this course is the 5 courses required to finish the professional skills badge. So if you wanted students to do it and you wanted them to be notified to do it, you would click actions, scroll down to manager actions, and you would assign this required learning. You would find all the students you want to do this, and then you would give them a due date, say it's due this day, and then you say, okay, after today's class, start on this project, and you have whatever, 2 weeks to finish. And then whenever you hit submit, it's going to notify them just like in any other sort of social network platform, both either through email, and then if they've signed up for SMS text, it'll also tell them, hey, you've got an assignment due, you need to go do it. And they'll just use their account to go through. And then when they register, if you tell them to use their Google Classroom registration, I'll pop out and show you what that looks like. Logouts. So these are all the options that they have. So if they're a Google Classroom user, they would just log in using Google and it would take them straight in.
Gotcha. Thank you. This is really cool.
There was a question in the chat wondering if there's a way to batch load students, or is it always one by one?
Great question. So the registration of students should be really easy for you. That's our hope. There's one of 2 ways. One way is you can, of course, send us a CSV file of their names and emails, and then we upload them for you. That's fine. If you don't want to gather students' names and emails, or you probably have them at this point, given the virtual nature of school this past year. If you didn't want to gather them, if you didn't want to do that, we can actually generate a code for you that is a URL that if you send that link to your students and tell them to register, if they click the link and register on the site, they'll automatically be tethered to you, and we can set that up. So you don't have to register them. They can register themselves through a custom URL link.
Thank you.
Christa, can you talk a little bit about the internship aspect of this?
Yeah, so we talk about using this platform for internships. So IBM currently, through our PTECH programs, we offer internships to PTECH students. It's unrelated to the platform, but we have found that when students go into internships or apprenticeships for the first time, they don't really know, not that they don't know how to behave, but they're like, I don't know what we do here. I don't know what work actually looks like. And so we found that having students finish the professional skills badge and some other coursework just prepares them a bit better. So we now actually require the professional skills badge as a prerequisite for internships. And we do have some school districts and high schools across the country who are doing the same now. They have certain badges on Open PTECH that they require their CTE students to do before they can do an internship.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, what else?
Christa, would you be able to share the slides that you showed at the beginning?
Yeah, definitely. I can email them out, send them
Great.
over to you.
Perfect.
Then I'll pull that down. Of course, please, if there are any other questions, would love to hear them, but I do want to show you. So if you think you do want to get started in this, it's pretty straightforward. You could always go ahead and just register on the platform, which is literally open.ptech.org. Or if you want me to set you up as a person who's going to have students assigned to you, just email me, and then I will go ahead and sign you up. And then I'll also deploy for you a student registration link. And then in that same email, it'll say, will other adults in your building or school district want to use this resource? You can send them that link, and that would allow other adults to sign up under your org ID, which the org ID can either be a school district or a school, doesn't matter. And then it'll also give you a link to utilize for student registration. And then of course, there will be at least one student, there always is, that is going to look at that link and think, I'm just going to go find this website on my own and register that way. It will happen. It is inevitable. And that's fine. When they tell you that they've registered and they swear up and down that they've done it, you will just email me and say, will you find the student in the system? Then I will find them in space and tether them to you. Very easy to do on the back end. So it's not a big deal at all. Students ignore that instruction. Hopefully 80% of them do what you ask. And then the other 20%, we can find them and tether them back to you.
And this is live and running now, correct?
Yep. Yes, you could go to open.ptech.org today and sign up. Easy as that. And of course, it truly is free. I think for lots of folks, they think, okay, sure, it's free, but where are you earning money on this? And it's truly nowhere. There's not like a freemium model either. Every component of the platform, every feature is truly free. Here's what it is for us. One, we have a business imperative to fill jobs that we don't currently have. We don't have pipelines into them right now. We have jobs that are going to sit vacant because we don't have people who are prepared to do the cybersecurity work we need. So it's high school plus those high school plus skills, but not necessarily a 4-year degree. It's hard to find those folks. So we're hopeful that we can find them in your students. And then second, the way in which we approach corporate social responsibility at IBM is we do still, of course, give grants, and there's money that we write checks to. But what we do more so, instead of sort of hand selecting who is going to benefit from our corporate social responsibility strategies, we say, let's build things that everyone can use and invest in them. So instead of having to choose who should be awarded a grant, we build a thing that we hope will just be helpful at scale. So hopefully that is helpful to you. It truly is free. We want you to use it. And without getting on this like excited, passionate soapbox around micro-credentialing, I just truly, I taught 8th grade US history. I saw so many kids who they just didn't see the finishing college, even if it was something they aspired to. It seemed like a long ways away to many of them. There are so many of them that were bright and really good at tinkering with things. It's like, man, I wish they had just been able to see, I just need to get through high school. I can get a few skills under my belt, and there's a job waiting for me, a job that would pay me better than what my Oklahoma teacher gets paid. So it's certainly a unique opportunity for students to take advantage of. And so hopeful that it'll be useful to your classroom and district.
Thank you so much, Christa. Any additional questions? All right, well, just a reminder that your CEUs will be coming to your inbox, as will an evaluation link. And then once all of the recordings and resources have been posted to our website, we will let everyone know that those are available as well. Yeah, give a couple more minutes if anyone would like to ask additional questions.
This is super exciting. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing. That's really exciting.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. This was fun.